everybody, Doa here from Ice Cave Radio for something a little bit special today. As you can see behind me, there is a deck, the first deck of Twilight of the Republic that I'm testing, and I actually brought it to my local last night. It went pretty well, we'll say. So we'll take a look at the deck here, we'll watch some games, and we'll kind of talk through my thought process while building the deck, while playing the deck and everything. I think there's something here. I don't necessarily think it's going to be the best way to build Chancellor Palpatine, but this list was incredibly fun to play, so I would absolutely recommend it as a starting point for someone that wants to kind of like learn the ins and outs of this leader, and then also just kind of have some fun doing it, have some fun being aggressive. If you like aggro decks, this is definitely a deck for you, because it is ironic, isn't it? Palpatine out of the shadows. Now he's just straight up being aggressive. We went with Chancellor Palpatine Red. Remember, this is the leader that flips from heroism to villainy. So you have to kind of have an interesting thought process with building this. So the basic premise is that he starts the game with his heroism side up, as you can see. Your action on that side, I'll just read it. If a friendly heroism unit was defeated this phase, draw a card, heal 2 damage from your base, then flip this leader. So you want to make sure that you have heroism units to drop early, and then a couple other mid-cost ones to sort of, or events to sort of sprinkle out throughout the game. But the advantage is, and I guess we can't see it here, unfortunately, but the advantage is that when he flips to the villainy side, what the villainy side does is action. If you've played a villainy card this phase, so not played a unit, so any villainy card works, then you can exhaust him, deal 2 damage to your opponent's base, and create a clone trooper token. So his dark side, flip side, his villainy side, kind of supports his heroism side in that this is a deck where you're just gonna have a lot of actions to do each phase, so you're going to have to get used to playing without the initiative. But that's okay, because if you wait, for instance, to do your villainy leader ability, you'll have that clone trooper token going into the next phase where you're suddenly on your heroism side again, and then you can have a unit right away to satisfy the conditions to tip the heroism side. And so you can see there's kind of a cycle that gets going where you start with that early heroism unit from hand, and from then on, a lot of the times, the token that's created by the villainy side will satisfy the heroism side. That's not always going to be the case. You're going to need to play some heroism stuff here and there, but generally you can get into that flow is what I found, at least with this deck anyway. I'm trying a couple different versions. I'm trying a blue version. Obviously, the legendary Chancellor Palpatine unit card is double cunning, so and it synergizes well with this leader, so I think they really want to push you in that direction a little bit too. So he's just a really fun leader to mess with. But this is my first iteration. I'm an aggro player at heart, so this is what I just decided to try to do. And the thought process behind this was red heroism has a lot of good units that if you just drop them early on, if your opponent doesn't deal with them quickly, the damage can add up. That includes things like Green Squadron A-Wing. That certainly includes things like Sabine Wren, Ketsu Onyo for being 3 attack. Anakin's Interceptor is in there because that can also be some good late game punch when you have some more damage on your base too. But even the one Chopper, like I'm still experimenting with this list. I like Chopper. I just threw him in there. And the idea is to have heroism cards that either A, your opponent deals with quickly, and that satisfies your leader flip requirements, right, for a heroism unit being defeated, or B, they don't deal with it quickly, and then you can just do the good things that that unit does, such as Chopper making them discard a card of the deck, maybe messing with their resources. You'll notice that there's a good amount. There's 6 3-drop heroism cards in here too. The Fighters for Freedom, the Millennium Falcon. Very often, your heroism unit will not die during the first action phase of the game, and so you're going to go into the second action phase with the heroism side still face up. That's a great opportunity to play something big like Fighters for Freedom, like Millennium Falcon, to keep putting on the pressure. And then during the second action phase, usually one of them will die, and then you'll be able to start the following action phase on the villainy side. It's important to note that you can't flip twice in one phase. When you exhaust the leader, it flips, right? And when it flips, it stays exhausted. So it's not like you can, do a bunch of funky stuff. That would be totally broken. So obviously it's good that that's not the case. But yeah, that's the basic premise with the deck. Just going through it real quick because I know we want to get to the games. Some of the highlight cards here, actually Wartime Profiteering is great. It's a 1 resource cost villainy card, so you can very easily satisfy the villainy requirement if you want to flip back and then play some heroism stuff in the same turn. And then when you know you're going to be losing units, which everybody does every game, but this deck prioritizes that, you get a chance to do a little bit of searching or at least draw a card if one unit has died. So just a really nice card. Force Choke, good removal. the general idea is that we want to be either putting on pressure if that's possible, or just trading well so that we can finish the game with Cad Bane and Crate Dragon. So Force Choke helps us do that. Sneak attack is fantastic. Obviously, you don't get a chance to flip the heroism side if your sneak attack heroism unit doesn't die until the end of the phase, right? Because of sneak attack. The reason this is in there is so you can sneak attack in like a K2SO or really anything to trade with a unit and then activate the requirement for your heroism exhaust for your leader, right? And then I will say, late game, if you sneak attack in a Cad Bane or a Crate Dragon, like nobody's expecting it. Like resource turn 8, sneak attacking in a Crate Dragon, people are like, wait, what? I just suddenly take damage? So there's a good potential that sneak attack just ends the game for you too. So I've had a lot of games like that, and it works pretty well in that category. Waylay in the main deck, sometimes you just want to bounce things, you know. Millennium Falcon, just good stuff. So the nice thing with being able to play Heroism and Villainy is that you can play a lot of the high-pressure early Heroism units. Again, Green Squadron A-Wing, Sabine Wren, stuff like that. And then you get the all-star hits of mid-game Villainy cards like Forlom and Bosk, right? The stuff that comes in and trades via ambush and usually still lives, too. And then Bosk is just so great because you have a good amount of events in this deck, so you can get some extra damage with that. And again, an annoying unit for them to have to deal with. Good way to deal with enemy leaders, Bosk and Forlom, because they come in and they do a lot of damage quickly. So like Forlom into a Force Choke or something like that. That's 6 resources for 9 damage on their leader unless there's a Sentinel in the way, and that kills any leader in the game. Besides, what, does Chewie have like, set one Chewie have like 10 HP? He might. Anyway, it kills any relevant leader in the game right now. And then you've got a sideboard where we've got No Good to Be Dead, 1 Frozen in Carbonite. I have to lean it over. I promise it's 1. And then Bloodsport for dealing with token heavy decks. Merciless Contest. That's kind of the one where you kill unit on both sides. I'm not so sure about that, but it's in the sideboard for now. And then 1 Change of Heart. Everything's very experimental with this, but the deck is already really fun, flows pretty well. But I'm ready to get in the games. So let's just do that. Here we go. I think you can still hear me. So my first game of the night was against a Jango Fett Cunning. A lot of people have been trying this, where they're taking the principles that made Boba Fett Cunning good, and they're just applying it to Jango. And I think you can definitely play double Cunning Jango Fett. I like it with Petronaki Arena, because then essentially you just get the good old Boba Set 1 flip, right, where it's a 4/7 that comes out on resource turn 5. Obviously, in case you haven't been watching the news with the game, Set 1 Boba Fett is suspended until further notice, so he's essentially banned in Premier play. You can still play him in casual settings, in Twin Suns, so he's still out there, but as far as the competitive side of the game goes, he's out, and I think that's a great change. The leader was just a little bit too strong. It was really restricting all the other villainy Cunning leaders, because it's like, I build a villainy Cunning deck, and at the end of the day, I'm like, well, why don't I just play Boba Fett? So it really opens up a lot of possibilities for stuff like Cad Bane, Jabba to come in, Thrawn from Set 1, Jango. There's a lot of great stuff with that. Asajj Ventress now in Set 3. So, yeah, lots of stuff to look forward to. Now that Boba's out of the meta, he apparently won 55% of planetary qualifiers, which is a little bit wild. But, again, the lead is really strong, and I've said from the beginning that you can't, it's impossible to make a TCG and not have to do some sort of card restriction at some point. Like, you can never playtest enough. You've got, even if you play hundreds and hundreds of games in your playtesting window for a certain set, you've got multiple factors, right, where when the set actually comes out, you've got like millions of games being played then, right? People are going to break things. And then the other side too, where it's like, in order to get a set printed, you have to kind of like test it and lock it in almost like a full year before it actually comes out, right? So a lot can change between then and now as far as like what you thought was good for the game then against what is the state of the game when that expansion releases. So I think when you look at this kind of thing too, you have to sort of think of it from a game design perspective too, and think about, what the real sort of like process is around this. But yeah, cutting the decks. I had to warn my opponent my sleeves are brand new, so they're very slippery. I believe I got the initiative here. Let's see. I should have just made this go right to the game, but I guess I had a lot to talk about anyway, so I always do. And oh, look at this. I managed to keep my hand in the frame. Nice. Some morning coffee. So we've got 2 daring raids, a Forlom, Anakin's Interceptor, Fighters for Freedom, and Heroism, or Heroic, Heroic Sacrifice, which is great because Heroic Sacrifice is awesome. Lets you trade up, or do a good amount of, lets you trade up, lets you draw a card. Card draw is really important here. You end up with huge hands with this deck because the Palpatine side, the Heroism side lets you draw a card too. It's a little bit awkward, but I feel like I resource both during raids here. Do I do that? I don't feel great about it, but at the same time, you're thinking through your turns. All right, turn 1, Anakin's Interceptor. Turn 2, I'm still going to have the Heroism side out, most likely. So I'm going to be wanting to play the Fighters for Freedom. So yeah, I just resource the 2 during raids. And, that feels weird. But if you look at my hand and you sort of look at the flow of the game, I'm going to want to have the opportunity to Heroic Sacrifice the Anakin's Interceptor if I want to. I'm going to want to keep the Forlom because that's my 4-drop, right? There's no guarantee that I would redraw into something like that. So I really think your opening hand should reflect what you want to do in resource turns 2, 3, and 4, right? So your first, second, and third turns of the game, basically. So that's kind of the premise here, and that's why, weirdly enough, both Daring Raids had to hit the resource pile. But they're still resourcing here. One of our locals, a great player, learning the game. I think he joined us fairly recently, but he's catching up real quick. There's the Anakin's Interceptor. And what's it going to be for our Jango? Like, I played these games last night, and I still barely remember them. Oh, okay, yeah. I remember Probe Droid. I was like, okay, well, here's a glimpse of the future here. Yeah. Viper Probe Droid's still a fantastic card from set 1. What did I draw into there? I drew a Sneak Attack and a Cad Bane. Okay. Yeah, so the Cad Bane, you might be tempted to just resource it right away, but you get to that turn pretty quickly, and he's such a game ender. I can't remember if I resourced him or the Sneak Attack. I don't really have any good Sneak Attack targets in my hand right now, but after playing these games, I'm really feeling like Sneak Attack is one of the cards you just don't want to resource, because I feel like I always find a way to use it in a game. It's just too good. Yeah, I'm having trouble figuring out my resource thing. If I remember right, I think I went Sneak Attack here. And on retrospect, I feel like that was a mistake. If I resource Sneak Attack, I feel like that was a mistake. I love Cad Bane. He's an incredible closer in this deck, but it's still a little bit too early. I probably should have resourced him. What did I choose? Heroic Sacrifice is also one of the cards that right now that I know is turn 1 drop, is a card that I could probably do. I do resource the Cad Bane. Okay, all right. I did. I feel like that's the right decision. But if I don't draw into one of my other Cad Banes, then I'm in like a little bit of a sketchy situation, right? Because he is one of the kind of necessary closers. And just 2 to base. Why not? All right. 3 to base, which is fine. The funny thing is that like a lot of these early turns, especially if you have a ground unit against their ground unit, you can trade early and it's like, all right, you do 3 to my base, I'll just heal 2 of it right away. You really do slow down aggressive decks, and even mid-rangey decks with this list. So I think my next iteration for Palpatine is probably going to be blue. But I do want to build that double cunning version. Right now I just only own one of the legendaries, so I can't really do it. So I think blue is going to be a good way to go. I think red is viable. I think blue seems viable and maybe a little bit overall stronger, again, without really doing much testing. I really want to try green, but the tricky part is closers in green, I guess you've got like Home 1, you've got like Relentless, because when you have access to both Villainy and Heroism, it really is something else. All right, so Toro Calican is kind of annoying. And yeah, I just take the initiative. And again, the thing is I know when a lot of people were building Palpatine early, there was this misconception that you needed to just get the flip going immediately and be like, flip, 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 flip. Otherwise, I'm not playing Palpatine. And the reality is, at least in this version of it, and I think in every version of it, you don't need to be in like a giant rush to flip Palpatine. You've got cards in your hand early on. You don't really need the healing a lot of times. There's so many good early heroism units in the game as far as putting on pressure goes, especially if you're in red. So I'm not really under any big pressure to flip, right? I've got the Bosk, so like now I'm in a situation where I kind of do want to flip. So let's see. If I play, so the tricky part I'm in right now is if I play the Heroic Sacrifice, then I don't have enough to flip Bosk. So I'm probably better off just trading into the Viper probe droid here and kind of making him trade with me, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah. And so the reason I'm doing this is, again, I'm telling myself, all right, I'm in no rush to flip. I've got the Bosk in my hand. That's great. I'm going to just trade and maybe make him do a 2-for-1 at this point. And so if he goes 2-for-1, then, if he goes 2-for-1 and he didn't here, he went just to base, then I can, flip. I can play a Bosk. I have that out to handle whatever he plays. And then, I will have activated my leader ability without giving anything else up myself. So that's the idea behind that play there. But I'm in a little bit of a tricky situation, right? Because I've got that heroic sacrifice, and did I just heroic sacrifice the Anakin's Interceptor here? I did. Okay. And at some point, you do need to, I guess I was feeling the pressure to flip here, probably because of Bosk in hand, and I just didn't really have any other good heroism units to shore things up with. So I got the card draw. You get 4 damage in on base, keeps you up with life. I was putting a token on my leader to remind myself that the flip was activated. I want to get to the point where I don't do that because it's not necessary and I'm kind of giving free information to my opponent. But for this first series, at least, I was like, all right, I need to remind myself. There's a Palpatine, heal for 2, and draw a card, which always feels so good, by the way. Like, both his abilities feel great. Down to 4. So I've already got the life advantage here. What did I draw into? Another sneak attack? I'm trying to see what that was. If we got the 4-alarm in there, do I have anything else I can even really play this turn? My hand is a little bit bricky. And, when you play an event heavy deck, that's kind of how it is. Oh, I drew into a force choke. Oh, perfect. All right. Yeah, so I just force choked the Turo Calican. Yep. That's fine. Like, he draws a card. Who cares, right? When you're playing an aggressive deck like this, you're way more concerned about the board than their hand size. So, sure, go for it, right? I like to save the force chokes to try to handle leaders with this because, again, you don't get a leader, so you kind of have to have a way to deal with there. Oh, and I have a wartime profiteering, too. So 3 units left play. 2 units, rather. 3 units left play, so I get to look at the top 3 and pick one. That's what I'm talking about. Like, wartime profiteering is great, right? And the thing is because I still have that 4-alarm in my hand, and my leader should have been flipped to the villainy side, by the way. I kept forgetting to do this all night. I would use the leader, and I'd forget to flip him to villainy. I am on the villainy side. You can see I'm, playing like I'm on the villainy side, because I am, even though I forgot to flip the leader. But I think I realized it during the regroup phase, where I'm like, oh, whoops, sorry. But, what can you say? Playing with the paper cards. Yeah, I'm like, whoops. Thankfully, my opponent didn't call me out on that. I think it's one of those game state things. Like, a judge would have been like, hey, this has to be flipped, So there wasn't any advantage gained by it. But yeah, I need to remember that you do the thing and then you flip it, which is very counterintuitive to how we've played Star Wars Unlimited, for the last year now about. So I'm on the villainy side. I was able to use 2 villainy cards last turn because I was technically on the villainy side then. And but now I've got the 4-alarm in hand. I've still got the Fighters for Freedom out, which is pretty great. I think I forgot to do damage to his base when I played the Heroic Sacrifice, which is a bit of an oopsie because my Fighters for Freedom were out. But that happens. That's on me, I think. Well, definitely on me, right? There's just a lot to remember with this list. The combination of leader and then everything else going on. Whenever you're playing a new deck like this, you're always so focused on the leader stuff and what your deck is trying to do, you miss the basic stuff like the damage from Fighters for Freedom. And he plays a 2nd, 7th Fleet Defender, so I'm like, oh, okay. I'm a little bit nervous here, but we're just gonna keep going. He goes air, so I go ground. I'm like, all right, sure. If you want to just put some stuff down the air, I'm just gonna establish a 4/4 on the ground. I don't need to ambush it into anything. I have 7 damage on the ground. I know I'm going to do 2 more damage this turn with the Darth Sidious leader thing. He plays the Jango Fett, and so now I've got him kind of in the situation where either he has to make the decision to be aggressive and bypass my units, or he has to attack into one of my units, and then that sets me up for leader takeout next turn, So this is kind of what I'm talking about, where when their leader flip turn is happening, you kind of need to have a plan for that. And so this was my plan. And I will say that is one of the more difficult parts of playing this deck is making sure you have a way to deal with their leader without having a leader unit on the board yourself. So something to think about. Anyway. And I flip. Yep, I remembered. Yay. So yeah, did the thing. Where's my clone trooper token? Oh, that's right. I forgot to bring tokens, so I had to have the manager, good old Mike at Lost Planet here, bring me some tokens. One of my neighbors let me borrow one for the moment. I was so unprepared, so embarrassing. How embarrassing. That was a terrible Yoda. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That was awful. Awful that was. Oh no, I should stop. I need to stop. All right, Jango goes what, to base? He's going to base. Yeah, I think he feels too that like there's a lot of stuff out there, but he's like, my leader is out. You have to attack into me, I think. And I've got these 2 7th Fleet defenders. I've got 9 damage presenting on the board right now, which is scary. But I'm thinking to myself, I've got a lot of units out. I've got another Palpatine flip, so I know I'm healing for 2. And I have, so essentially, I have 8 damage on base because I know I'm going to heal for 2 this turn. So I'm not that worried about taking 9 more damage because I'd still be below 20. And there we go. I was able to return the token to my buddy. Got some tokens from good old Mike, store manager there. And we're going. So 6 resources. I've got the Cad Bane in hand. I wish I was showing my hand more often. I tried to remember to show my hand to the camera, but I'm not right now. What am I going to play? Just one? All right. Oh, Heroic Sacrifice. Yeah. I was thinking I'd put on Forlom first, and then I realized I was like, wait, that's only 6 damage. Hold on. Whoops. No, that's not right. My math was just a little bit off there for a second. I'm like, yeah, it should go on the Clone Trooper. Just do 4 into Jango Fett. Soften him up, draw a card, satisfy the requirements to flip Chancellor Palpatine. Perfectly reasonable, right? You don't know if he's going to play something with ambush, take out the token. It's just more clean this way. Okay, I've got 2 bosses in my hand. I've still got that sneak attack. I've got another Forlom, and I think that was a Cad Bane at the end there. It is. Okay, yeah. All right, nice. Nice thing about 7th Fleet Defenders is that they only have 2 HP each, so they're easy to steal. Oh, and he goes Hotshot Blaster from resources. That's a lot of damage. That's 5 more damage on base. I'm like, okay, this is fine. Just gotta survive till next turn, and I know I can. You know, now especially because he has 3 resources left. There's not going to be anything huge coming this turn. I heal for 2 anyway. I'm only at 13 damage on base. I know I'm going to take out Jango Fett this turn. The 7th Fleet Defenders, I know I'm going to capture with Cad Bane next turn. So I'm feeling pretty confident here. Because again, embarrassingly enough, okay, there we go. I remembered. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. Starting to remember to flip the leader. Yeah. Fantasy Flight, why do you do this to me? You just get so used to just tipping your leader sideways and doing the ability. Adding the flip on the end, I don't know why I had such a hard time remembering that. Looks like I went 4 to base with Forlom, I believe. Yeah, it makes much more sense to trade the Fighters for Freedom in. Yep. That'll do it. Oh, I think he played No Good to Me Dead on Forlom. That's what happened, yeah. All right, there goes Jango. And I take a little bit more damage on base. But again, I'm not worried about this. And I get to pay 5 to establish a Bosk. And it's a foil organized play Bosk even. Ooh. So, you know, I'm feeling pretty great right now. You know, I know my Forlom doesn't ready next phase. But I have another 4/5 out. I have the benefit of the damage from the events, if I remember it, which I forget, I think, at least once or twice tonight. That night. But this is gonna be the Cad Bane turn, right? So yeah. I think I could resource the Sabine here. Because I like having the Falcon because that's just some good surprise damage in the late game, you know. I believe I have the initiative here. I might not, though. Let's see. He attacked. Yeah, I think he attacked last, so I was able to grab the initiative after I played the boss. I might be wrong, though. We're not really keeping track of the tokens. That's how it always goes in this game, is that at the start of the game, everyone's like keeping track of the initiative token, and then like 4 turns in, you're like, okay, yeah, whatever, I just remember. Okay, so I did have the initiative. I thought so. Cad Bane. It's huge. I have a hyperfoil Cad Bane, too. I'm very proud about it. Point. I was quite... Wow. That was a very definitive, like, I'm taking those. They lose their shield tokens, too, which is kind of a nice little side benefit. But the new Cad Bane is so good. He's a 7/7 for 7. When you play him, he captures up to 3 enemy units of a total of 8 hit points or less. And then he has an on attack. Your opponent may choose to rescue a unit. If they do, you draw 2 cards. So just great card draw and all that. He plays Cunning to exhaust both of my units, so I don't get a lot of damage on there. He wants me to do the random discard too, which makes sense because he doesn't really have anything else he can do, really. Oh, we got a Forlom. But that's okay. I think I've got other stuff to do here. Let's see. I'm going to exhaust Sidious. And yep, there's a Clone Trooper. Do 2 damage to base. Hey, I remembered right away. Hey, for the first time ever. Wow. Remembering right away. Amazing. And Toro Calican again. Take the initiative. Nothing else I can do, but I've got a pretty awesome board right now, I think. What do we got there? What's in the hand? Anakin's Interceptor and a Force Choke, I think is what I drew. Okay. And then we have the Millennium Falcon. Some other stuff go to 8. Remember, like, the real big finisher. If Cad Bane doesn't finish, then Crate Dragon should. Got a lot of units out. Let's see what happens here. He's at 15 life. I am at 19. So I'm a little bit behind in the damage on base category. And, yep, 7 to base with Cad Bane. Makes a lot of sense. I'm like, do you want to rescue a unit? I kind of want them to rescue units because I'm like, yeah, you can have a 3/2 in space, and I get to draw 2 cards. And he is going to do it. All right. Man, like, it's just crazy. Okay, so I drew another Falcon. I drew a Crate Dragon. All right. Yeah, it comes in exhausted as well. Where's the 7 damage on base? Did he not put the 7 damage on base? Wait a second. Hold on. Let me go back a little bit. Or did I... Yeah. Oh, he forgot to put the 7 damage on base. Oh. I gotta watch for that. And I'm sure, I will say off the bat, I know this guy. I'm sure that was 100% an honest mistake. Like I said, he's one of the newer players in the shop, and he's learning really fast. He's becoming good. But it looks like, yeah, he just straight up forgot to put that 7 damage on base. I'm right? I attacked with Cad Bane, and he rescued the unit. And then he forgot to put the... Oh, my gosh. So he should actually be at not 19, but 26 right now. Oh, okay. Well, that's a game-changing situation, isn't it? Oh, my. All right. Note to self, make sure they're putting the damage you do onto their base. Like I said, I'm absolutely certain it was accidental. Just neither of us noticed it. Just one of those big dumb things that happen sometimes. So no ill will at all towards my opponent. Just a pure miss by both of us. And it really should be on me anyway to make sure my opponent's putting the damage on their base. Yeah, I just want to go back and look one more time. Because he was at 15. He did that. I attacked. Yeah. That's actually hilarious. Oops. Yep. There's damage from the Bosk. Or from the Forlom, rather. All right. A Palpatine. No, I just take more damage. All right, so I'm at 27 right now. Yeah. From the Toro Calican. Okay, so because I was like, I remember being kind of confused in this moment, being like, man, how am I so close to death? Like, I thought I was about to win this game. And the answer is that, like, I probably should have won this game. 7 more damage on base on my opponent's a big deal. Because I could just play a Millennium Falcon and just win. Yikes. All right. Well, that kind of slightly invalidates the results of game number 1 there. We'll go into Toro Calican. Heal for 2. Let's see. After I use the Palpatine ability anyway. All right, I've got another Bosk. I've got 2 Millennium Falcons. And yeah, he should be at 26 right now. Wow, I can't believe I did that. Because I could just play the Millennium Falcon and then play it again and win right now. All right. That's really funny. Because I do go on to actually lose this game. And I remember being confused and being like, man, I really thought I had this one. What happened? And I did have that one. I absolutely did have this game. Oops. Well, I kind of just want to skip to game 2 at this point. 7-4. So I play Bosk off Aspect. So I want to run into Cad Bane. Or I wanted to run into Toro Calican. Let's see. Right, because his Toro Calican was about to attack. Because he played the Greedo and he did 1 damage to the Greedo to ready Toro Calican. And I was like, man, I can't afford to take any more damage. This is just too close. All right, another Bosk and a Green Squadron A-Wing. And go into the regroup phase. And who has the initiative here? Let's see. I've got the Krayt Dragon in hand. We're into like weird territory now where the life totals are super messed up. So what happens? Anyway, I feel like I should actually just skip to game 2 here for this because this is also... everything's messed up right now. 7 damage on base is a big missing thing. He's going to Hotshot Blaster. And then I felt like I needed to... I've seen 2 Hotshot Blasters. I don't know if there's a third one in there. But either way, I feel the need now at 25 health just to force choke the 7th Fleet Defender. Just because I'm like... well, obviously you can't put the blaster on the 7th Fleet Defender, but that is still 3 damage. That would take me to 28. That would make me kind of nervous, you know? Oh, yeah, and he had the Fett's Fire Spray to close the game. And the Force Choke wouldn't have handled that anyway. But yeah, so really I should have won this game because he should have been at 26, and I should have been able to easily just... hit him with Cad Bane, hit him with Forlom, hit him with anything I had on the board to close the game, or play the 2 Millennium Falcons last turn, Millennium Falcon attack, and that would end it too. So this should have been a win for me, but both of us missed the 7 damage on base from Cad Bane because we were so excited about talking about the capture stuff. I want to say very clearly once again that is not something he did on purpose. I am absolutely sure that was a mistake, an accident on his side, and it is on me too to make sure that I'm keeping track of my damage on my opponent's base. So that's just a honest mistake by both of us. Nothing untowards there. but definitely did make the difference in game number 1. And let's move on to game number 2. Either way, fun way to start the matches here. Although that one got a little bit funky in the end. Let's move on to game number 2. All right, here we are for game number 2. And I can't remember if I did any sideboarding or not with this. I might have. I think I might have thrown in like a couple no good to me deads. I think I ended up sideboarding that quite a bit during the night. Just because I really like Wartime Profiteering, but no good to me dead only costs 1 more. It's got that utility with it where you can exhaust a unit. And I felt like that was something where, it was another way to handle the leaders. So as I played these games already, I'm sort of thinking, about little tweaks I can make to the deck. I'm probably not going to play Palpatine Aggression again for a couple weeks, just because I simply want to test more stuff. I really like this list, and I really like where it's going, but it's a new expansion. I just want to play a bunch of different stuff, So, I'll definitely come back to this. And so these are kind of my thoughts as far as what I'll do when I come back to it. So Sabine Wren starting things off. I won the initiative, obviously. I can't believe I missed that 7 damage with Cad Bane. What is wrong with me? Yikes. That's so funny. It happens to the best of us. And you know what? I'm going to put it on YouTube. I'm human. I'm human just like everyone else, right? So Sabine into the Crafty Smuggler, the fun trick of pinging the shield and then doing the 2 damage there. Nice little counter there. All right. And he plays the Mercenary Gunship. I play the Fighters for Freedom. And it's like I'm talking about. With this deck, you really don't need to be in any big hurry to flip Palpatine. You got to look at what your second turn plays are, your 3 drops. That's why I put like the Falcon and the Fighters for Freedom in here, because they're just good. They're just really good high pressure cards, and a lot of times you don't even have damage on base in the first turn, so you're not really getting the full value out of the Chancellor Palpatine heroism side flip anyway. So yeah, do that just fine. So I've got the initiative here, I believe. I could be wrong. Going to 4. He's still picking his resource here. Oh, that beautiful hyperfoil Cad Bane. Love it. Probably, I think Cad Bane might be my favorite card in the set. So, he plays a 4-lom, runs into my Fighters for Freedom, and I'm like, wait a second. You've stumbled into the oldest error in the book. You didn't attack with your Mercenary Gunship. I'm just gonna take it. It's readied. They just take his Mercenary Gunship. And if you look at my hand, yeah, I could have played the Falcon. I could have played a Green Squadron A-Wing, I could have just done the Chancellor Palpatine ability, but I'm like, I've got 4 resources. I don't really need to play any of this stuff from my hand. I could just get a 3/2 that can attack immediately. Like, would I pay 4 resources for a 3/2 flyer that can attack the turn it comes into play? Yeah, I think I would. Right? So I think he was kind of surprised by that. A lot of these lists run the Mercenary Gunship, but if you're running the Mercenary Gunship, you really always have to be aware of the possibility that your opponent can steal it from you. I have won so many games by stealing the Mercenary Gunship. I'm not exaggerating, because people just don't think about it. And again, it's like, especially if it's ready. If it's exhausted, usually I won't do it. But if it's ready and I have a chance to steal it, I'm like, yeah, I get a ready 3/2 in space for 4 resources. That sounds like a good deal. So yeah, go for it. So anyway, I've got that now. We're on the dark side. I don't really have a good dark side play aside from Force Choke. But thankfully, he plays his Cantina Brawler. So I have a good Force Choke target. I have a way to activate Palpatine and then go back to Heroism on my 5 resource turn. Or which is right now, actually. Go back to Heroism a little bit later. But I can Force Choke and then play a 3-cost Heroism this turn, which is good. Yeah, we'll do that. Draws a card. That's kind of the thing you need to think about as you're navigating the hands for Palpatine too, is that there's plenty of turns where you'll get to play Heroism and Villainy stuff in the same turn potentially. And so sequencing things correctly to be able to do that is important. So, yeah. Now, again, I don't need to worry about him stealing the Mercenary Gunship back because he played that Cantina Brawler. So I'm just going to, leave it ready for now, and I'm going to just use the Palpatine ability, heal a bit. Then I'm going to attack as Jango comes in for 3. Might have missed on a little bit of healing there. Then I'll pay 3 and play, what, Millennium Falcon? Yeah. I'm like, you know what? He's at 8 damage on base already. This is a game where I just put on the pressure. I've got Fighters for Freedom, Sabine Wren, a Green Squadron A-Wing. Like, I feel pretty confident that I can just, like, take the air. And then when we're only 2 turns away from the 7 resource turn, and I've got a Cad Bane in hand. So I can just kind of, whatever he plays by then, I will hopefully just be able to steal. So I think that's the idea, if I remember right. That's the idea that I had with this game in particular. That makes sense. Yeah, so we've got the right away, you've got the activator for Chancellor Palpatine. Again, the villainy side feeds the heroism side by creating that clone trooper token. What a well-designed leader, by the way. Bravo to Fantasy Flight and the dev team over at Star Wars Unlimited, because this leader is so interesting to play, both from the conceptual standpoint on the, how do you build a deck around this, to the way you navigate games while playing this leader. It's just very satisfying. Really, really fun, and very thematic, too, that he just switches sides like that. Switches sides every other scene, just like in the movies. I love it. Hotshot Blaster on Jango, but again, I'm not super worried about that because I don't have a ton of damage on base. It's 5 to base there. And this time, hopefully, I remember to actually apply damage that my units do to his base. I can't believe that. I still can't believe that happened. I don't think I've ever seen that happen before in any of my games. But yeah, we're just thinking about all the new cards. What can you say? 3 damage to base with the Mercenary Gunship. Because at this point in the game, I don't really mind him stealing it back all that much, but I'm just going to keep using it. That's already 6 damage that Mercenary Gunship has done, by the way, for those of you keeping track at home. Cartel Spacer. And, yep. Then I'll just do that. An interesting thought here, and he's got 13 damage on base, but from his perspective, an interesting thought here would be, do you actually exhaust the Clone Trooper token? Because the Millennium Falcon can't die by attacking into the Cartel Spacer, so he would take 3 damage from the Millennium Falcon, but he would also prevent me from flipping Chancellor Palpatine, which, for all he knows, might mess up my next turn. So, or my current turn even. Maybe I have a lot of villainy stuff and I need to use my resources on that. So, looking at it from his perspective, it might have actually been better to exhaust the Clone Trooper token and take the Falcon damage. Interesting thought there. And so Fighters for Freedom, and then I get to play one of my other 2 drops, and then I can flip Palpatine at the end of the turn. Yeah. Knowing when to flip in sequence in your turn is such a big part of this leader. And I will say, this is not an easy leader play. Chancellor Palpatine / Darth Sidious is probably one of the most challenging leaders I've played in the game. But to me, I love stuff like that. That just is super satisfying to me. So I love it, but it's not for everyone. Fair warning, he is a trickier leader to play well. He's a leader that will make you feel dumb if you don't do it right. But he'll also make you feel real smart if you do. It's fun. Yeah, so flipped over to the Sidious side. And again, we're going to resource turn 7. I do have that Cad Bane in my hand. And I've got the Crate Dragon, so I feel very well positioned to handle the rest of the game here. We'll see if that comes to pass, though. Another Cad Bane. And a Bosk. All right. So what do I do? Because Cad Bane stealing only a Cartel Spacer is like, okay. So looking at this, I kind of feel like, and yeah, I have to bring the Falcon back to hand because I need the 7 resources for Cad Bane. That should be a little bit of a tell to my opponent too, that I have a 7 resource turn to 7 drop to play, or a 3 and a 4. I think I still should attack with the Mercenary Gunship first here, because if I leave it open, if I play the Cad Bane, he can steal it. Oh, he's got the initiative, so he could have stolen it anyway. He's going to surprise strike Jango Fett into base. Wow, okay. So that's 8 damage? Yeah. So 13, 14 damage on base, I guess now? Wasn't doing the math. And then, yeah, Mercenary Gunship attacks first because I'm like, all right, well, I still don't want to give him the opportunity to steal it while it's readied. that could kill my Green Squadron A-Wing. That could ruin my air advantage. So 3 damage to base there. And I also want to give him a chance to play more cards to just get more value out of my Cad Bane, right? So I'm like, yeah, play those units. Play them. Ooh. Oh, no, it's no good to be dead. No good to be dead on my Fighters for Freedom. He's at 18 damage on base, so I think he's starting to feel the pressure a little bit there. But now I feel like I should just attack with the Green Squadron A-Wing. Again, just trying to get that Cad Bane value. And I'm like, yeah, I can take the 2 damage. I know I'm going to get the Sidious flip too. And the nice thing with Crate Dragon as a finisher is that it's not heroism or villainy. It's just aggression. So you can use it on either side. So you don't need to think about that much. Yeah, 3 damage on base. Up to 21. From 18 to 21. And 3 resources. Yay, a unit. It's Bodhi Rook. So he gets to see my hand. And he can get rid of, looks like a sneak attack or daring raid. Oh, okay. So actually my plan to close the game was, if Cad Bane didn't do it, was to sneak attack out the Crate Dragon at 8 resources because it's just fun. Because you pay 2 for sneak attack and then 6 for the Crate Dragon because it's discounted by 3. Yeah, he gets rid of the sneak attack, which is the smart decision, obviously. Because I guess, actually, now that I think about it, if I had the sneak attack, I could have sneak attacked the Cad Bane in, right? Because that would have been 2, and then 7 minus, so it'd be 6. And then I could daring raid for 2, and then Darth Sidious for 2 more. So that would be a total of 11 damage on base, which would have killed him. So, and I might have been thinking about that too, now that I think about it, that I actually had lethal if I would have sneak attacked the Cad Bane. Because all his resources were out, so I know I'm not in any danger of it being exhausted or waylaid or something, you know? Yeah. So that's funny. If he hadn't had the Bodhi Rook, I would have actually won that turn. And that's one of the things I just love about this deck, is it's so explosive. The damage with sneak attack and some of these bigger units is just so explosive that, and of course you have to play around them potentially having resources to deal with it before it can attack. You always have to be aware of that. But if you do play around that well enough, yeah, you can do a lot of big damage stuff for sure. But I remember to flip Palpatine a little bit late. That's okay. Now we're at 9 resources, or 8 resources rather. So I can't sneak attack my Crate Dragon. Sad times. But I still, you know, I should still have the win this turn because I've got just so many units on board. I think there was one game, I can't remember, one game I played last night where I attacked with Cad Bane and I was like, do you want to rescue something? And they're like, I don't even remember what was under there. And I'm like, you know, I don't either, actually. It was getting late. But they just let it go through. Cad Bane 7 to base. This might have been the turn where neither of us remembered what he had captured. And then 3 to base. So, oh no, he used no good to be dead on Cad Bane. So Cad Bane is just exhausted. So I just do 3 to base here. 26. So, do I have enough? I believe I do. Because I've got the daring raid. So I should be fine. Yeah. And he's going to run Jango into the clone trooper token. Yep. I mean, this is another way to deal with leaders, too, is you just give them enough things that their leader needs to attack into. Yep, daring raid. And because of Fighters for Freedom, it does 1 extra damage. Yeah. So that puts him to 29. And then if he has a way to deal with my Green Squadron A-Wing this turn, literally all I need to do is use the dark side version, is play a villainy card, any villainy card next turn. Because obviously I can flip Palpatine now. He'd start the next turn on dark side. I play any villainy card from my hand, and then I activate him to do the 2 damage to base. But I think, no, oh, he's got a cunning. Okay. So that keeps him alive for the moment. Yep, that gets bounced. And then did he do the discard? He did, yeah, because there's nothing to really attack, nothing to exhaust. Or nothing to buff, rather. And it is the Millennium Falcon. All right. Which was another way I could win, too. I forgot I had that in my hand. So I actually had multiple ways to win this game in this turn. Yeah, just playing the Green Squadron A-Wing again. Oh, and do the one ping. Yeah, okay. So I had so many ways to win, actually. Yeah, the one ping from the Fighters for Freedom. I remembered it. Yay. And so that's going to win game 2. And I love that. There's just so many little different, and that's what makes this deck so complicated to play and hard to play. And you feel dumb when you mess up, but there's so many little things you can do to just like sneak out wins like that. So cool. All right. On to game number 3, tied up 1-1. It should be 2-0, but that's okay because we get one more game out of it, so it's fine. Okay, here we are for game number 3. Should be over, but that's okay. I actually don't mind because we get 3 games out of this, so that's good. And what's it going to be? All right. It's going to be a cut of the deck. Whoa, 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 whoa. Almost lost it there. All right, what's my hand? Let's see. Heroic Sacrifice, no good to me. Dead Force Choke, Sabine, Green Squadron A-Wing, and a Wartime Profiteering. Okay, a little bit of a rougher hand. Not terrible, but not the greatest hand. And I decide to resource the 2 villainy events, right? Do I? Yeah. Yep, because I've got the Force Choke, and out of villainy cards to activate my first villainy side flip, Force Choke is a great one to do it because you can just blow up a lot of those early / mid-game units. This is a good thing. And we'll see what happens here. I'm feeling pretty confident going into this one. Now I understand the perplexed feeling I had after losing game number 1. There should have been 7 more damage on his base. But I think I'd just start with the Sabine here, right? Because I've been thinking about it too, and I generally like to start on the ground instead of in the air because, unless they start in the air, just because I want to have that opportunity to trade. And you know, if you do activate the Palpatine on your second turn, that's fine. If you have something to use it, and I do have that Force Choke, so I can trade into whatever he plays and then not. Oh, and he didn't have anything to play in his first turn. That is rough. Yeah, he mulliganed, and he didn't draw into a 1-drop. That's unlucky. It does happen sometimes. Yikes. I end up resourcing the Daring Raids more than I would like to. But it's weird because they're kind of better late game. Because they're kind of good closers, you know? Strange. Troll Calican. And I could Heroic Sacrifice my Sabine Wren into that to, you know, kill her off, right? But that would be so inefficient. Better to just go 3 damage to base and then probably play the Green Squadron A-Wing. Yeah. So this is what I'm talking about, where if I don't have a good way to trade and get the leader flip on my second turn, just keep putting pressure on with more of those really, really good low-cost heroism units. Really kind of the best early aggressive units in the game. And again, the whole concept of this Palpatine Aggression deck is what is the most pressure I can put on early in the game with heroism, and then what is the most stability and closing I can get in the mid and late game from villainy. And that's, you know, how this list kind of came about. So I still can't flip Palpatine, so I can't Force Choke. I mean, I could just pay the tax and Force Choke, pay 4 for it, you know. But we will Heroic Sacrifice Sabine into base, I believe it is. Or into Toro Calican. Oh, no, I do 5. What am I talking about? I forget about it. I forgot her ability. Yeah, you ping for 1 and do 4 damage from the battle. So, yeah, that can trade. I'm losing my mind over here, apparently. So I'm feeling good because I can flip Palpatine. Yeah, he plays a 4-LOM, and this is perfect, right? Because I still have 3 damage I can do to his base, and I can also use the Palpatine ability, heal 2 of it, flip to villainy side, then force choke his 4-Lom and leave him with just nothing out there, which is really nice. Because we're going into his leader flip turn too. So that's another thing too, is making his leader isolated, right? I'm remembering to flip the leader card. Yay. Huge. Delicious coffee and Star Wars Unlimited in the morning. Happy Twilight of the Republic release day. Force choke onto 4-Lom. Choking out a droid. You know, you can't asphyxiate a droid, right? You can't cut off their oxygen. But when I think about force choke with Vader, I think of him just like crushing something too, right? You could just like crush it, right, with the force. Which is my argument for why force choke should be able to use on vehicles, but that's a whole different story. You're not choking the vehicle. They should just rename the card Force Crush, and then you can use it on vehicles. All right, we're going to resource turn 5. I've got a Bosk in hand, so I'm pretty well situated for this turn. Oh, okay, but he plays a Zuckuss, so that does throw a wrench into things a little bit, because it's too big of a unit to ambush into. So I'm like, all right, we'll go 3 to base. And just keep putting the pressure on a little bit. And then he flips. And I think what I do here... What do I do? Yeah... I believe I just waylay the Zuckuss. And I just don't get a villainy flip. Oh, no, I did just play the Bosk. Okay. Bosk into Jango Fett, probably? I don't think that's bad either. Oh, right. Okay, so here's the idea. I remember now. Bosk into Jango Fett. So Jango either has to trade into Bosk and die, or he attacks base. Either way, I know Jango's going to attack, so I can take the initiative if I want to. I can skip using the Darth Sidious ability, and then I can waylay the Zuckuss. But no, I'm just actually doing it. Okay. Interesting. Because I could have taken the initiative and waylaid the Zuckuss first thing next turn. But I guess my logic here was that 6 damage on my base is not that big of a deal because I'm going to heal for 2 of it anyway. So it's really like the Zuckuss does 4 damage, which is not that bad. I could still waylay it. So let's see. What was my plan? I've got 6 resources now. I think I put down an Anakin's Interceptor. I know I've got the Chancellor Palpatine activation when the clone trooper dies. Although, to be fair, you know, yellow Cunning has the ability to bounce tokens, and so then, you know, he could bounce that stuff to my hand and I wouldn't be able to do it. So that is a possibility. But do I just use Bosk to clear Jango here, or do I waylay Zuckuss? Let's see what he does first. I think you probably want to just attack into base with Zuckuss right now. Ooh, I don't know. Ooh. He attacks into base with Jango Fett. I don't know about that. I think attacking to base with Zuckuss was obviously the answer, because that's a huge punish right there. Waylaying him, and he put it in the trash. I was like, nah, he goes back to your hand, man. He's not waylaid out of the game. Yep. But yeah, that massive punish there. I think that was a pretty big error, I think, on his part to attack with the Jango Fett first. I think he was thinking his thought process was, if I attack with the Zuckuss first, he's going to trade into my Jango Fett, and then I miss out on that damage. If I attack with the Jango Fett first, then he doesn't have anything on board that trades with my Zuckuss, so I probably get the full 9 damage. So I get it from that perspective. But whenever you're playing against yellow, I'm always so worried about bounce that I really prioritize getting the most damage in early. At least that's how I approach it anyway. So I guess I can't say his decision was wrong per se. But in this case, it was punished pretty hard. So I run the Green Squadron A-Wing into the Fett's Fire Spray. And then I'm looking at my hand, and I remember thinking, like, okay, I know there's a way I can deal with this. I know I've got the cards to deal with this efficiently. What is it? What is the puzzle? And the answer, if I remember right, is to daring raid the Fett's Fire Spray and use the 2 damage from Bosk to finish it off. Which I forget about. I honestly haven't played Bosk in a long time, so I was forgetting about his ability a lot. Yeah. Attacking to base for 4. He's tapped out, so I know I don't need to worry about the boss going away or something. So I think I just did that as a way to just give myself a little bit more time to think. Because I bet you, if I remember right, I bet you I was forgetting that the Bosk ability was a thing. And I was like, all right, I want to keep the game moving along. I know there's a way I can deal with this. I just need to remember it. Clone Trooper into Jango Fett, probably. Or no, it's on base. Yeah, I guess I do want to play heroism stuff, maybe. Or do I? Yeah, daring raid. Okay, and then the Bosk damage. Yep. Provides the extra 2 to the unit. And that's a nice, efficient way to take out the Fett's Fire Spray. And then I have the Anakin's Interceptor. Yeah, which I'm so close to 15 damage on my own base that's going to be good. He claimed initiative. I use Palpatine. I heal 2. Again, I'm still close to 15 damage, so the Anakin's Interceptor is probably going to get value soon. Draw a card. Ooh, draw a sneak attack. Ketsu Onyu. I drew the No Good to Me Dead from the Palpatine, I believe. And we're on to the next regroup phase. So right now I'm kind of like, all right, where are my Cad Banes? Where are my Crate Dragons? I want the big stuff. We're on the villainy side. I forgot to flip again. Ugh. I remember it being on villainy side when I'm playing cards, but I forget to actually flip the leader itself. I did better over the course of the night, don't worry. But now he's got 7 resources. I felt really good after taking out the Fett's Fire Spray because that's one of the primary threats against my deck because I just don't have a lot of ways to deal with it well. And Fett's Fire Spray, remember, it comes in ready if you've got Jango or Boba Fett. So it still works well with Jango. I think there are going to be some extremely strong command Jango lists that are going to come out. That's my guess. Yeah, No Good to Me Dead on Jango Fett, which I think is fine. This just sort of gives me a little bit of time to deal with things. 17 damage on base for him. I've got the K2SO. I've got the villainy side, though, to worry about. But after playing No Good to Me Dead, you know, I do have the ability to flip back to heroism. He's going to waylay the Clone Trooper token. All right, yeah. So I don't know if that was the right move there because I didn't need it, right, to die because I'm not on the heroism side. And so that a heroism unit leaving play wouldn't be applicable, really, for that until next action phase. So 4 damage to base with the Bosk. Takes them up to 20-something. Yeah, I think maybe waylaying the Bosk would have been a little bit better just to prevent some damage. Maybe waylaying Anakin's Interceptor or so. But the Clone Trooper token didn't accomplish a whole lot other than just saving him 2 damage on base. And I get it right back anyway from using the Darth Sidious leader ability. Back to the heroism side, and now I'm like, all right, 23 damage on base. Oh, okay, yeah, this is a fun way to end it. Sneak attack the K2SO in, because he already claimed initiative. So sneak attack K2SO. Remember, he's at 23. Attack for 4. Take him to 27. And then I pass. The action phase ends. K2SO dies because of sneak attack, and I do 3 more damage to the base, so a total of 7 damage to close it out. And so that's what I'm kind of explaining to him right now, because it's one of those kind of death from nowhere situations. Because I'm like, yeah, sneak attack, I attack with him, 4 damage on base, and then his when defeated ability that takes effect when he dies because of sneak attack, and that's it. There's a fist bump. So took the series in the end. And the video's gone already. Whoa, took the series in the end. We'll go back to the deck check screen there. And I guess it should have been a 2-0 watching that back again. I didn't see it all. I totally missed that Cad Bane damage in game 1. I can't believe we both missed that. That's really funny. But so we did get an extra game out of it, which is good. So I hope that's a good demonstration of kind of how this deck works. Again, I'm not saying this is a meta-breaking best deck ever kind of thing, but I do think there is the bones of a very good list here, and it flows very nicely when you're playing. It feels good to play. So I'm going to definitely come back to this list. I'm going to keep iterating on it because it's really fun to play. I think it's decently strong, and it's kind of off meta. It's one of the things. It's my kind of list. So I want you to go out there, try it. Let me know how your results go. I would love to see the changes that you would make to the deck, especially the sideboard. The sideboard right now is very much meh, very much open to changing. So let me know your thoughts on it. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Go to icecaveradio.com, join our Discord to keep the conversation going there with all of our wonderful Discord members. We're almost at 500 people in the Discord right now, trying to get there because that's just great. It's a great big community of wonderful Star Wars Unlimited people. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.